Alright, real quick context of all this nice edited video that I threw together. Wasn't even gonna make it, but then I saw a video and I suggested that the cult went too full. So, the Intellivision Amico, if you don't know, it's a new console from the Intellivision company, which has original Mattel employees. So, there's some linkage to the original Intellivision console from the 70s, but this is basically a new console, you know. It's gimmick, it's family friendly. The games are between $2.99 and $9.99, I believe. That's the gimmick it's going with. Most simple games. I have critiques, as you're gonna find out, but there's a certain cult around this console that is one of the issues. And I had this video written, the audio was done, it was partially edited. I was like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna do it. I don't care that much. Then I saw this recommended video that the craziness of it and the fact that the like to dislike ratio was more likes just shows the cult. I gotta show this real quick. So this video by Intellivision Nation, it thinks that this console not only will be successful, but the best-selling console of all time. The best-selling console of all time. Better than the PlayStation 2. I mean, the fucking... And I shouldn't cuss on this channel, I try not to, but... This will be my one time. Real quick. The Intellivision official channel. Their latest video from 4 days ago has less than 3,000 views, and their console is gonna sell over 100 million units. Come on now, it's getting a bit absurd. Anyway, on to the video. The retro gaming community is no stranger to new consoles trying to bank on nostalgia. The Atari VCS, formerly known as the Atari Box, which is shaping up to be an overpriced, underpowered PC, was a cool case, I must admit, and the same games you've been able to get in various collections and flashback consoles. Then of course there was the Coleco Chameleon, which was a shit show, let's be honest, in every possible way. Now, to finish this grand trifecta of second-gen consoles having their names slapped onto underpowered computers is the Intellivision Amico, a console being made and pushed by Tommy Tallarico, who has a long history in the gaming industry, a history that has allowed him to get some strong industry people behind the Amico, which is certainly a step up compared to the Atari VCS and the Chameleon, although, I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't take much to outstep the Chameleon. Now, there is one important and respectable thing that separates it from the other two, and that is that it's not crowdfunded, which is a big bonus. At least if the console fails, a lot of people won't be out of their money. Although, I mean, if you haven't learned yet not to put your money towards these types of new consoles using old names, then, I mean, you should have been more intelligent. I'm not going to say you deserve to get burned on that, but come on now. Now, I want to give you its marketing ploy, because I think it's very interesting, and it's another thing that separates it from the other two. As you can see on the website, and Tommy has brought this point up many times in various podcasts and stuff that he's gone on, to him, by his standpoint, modern-day consoles are isolating, complicated, and competitive. Now, as you can see, its design definitely is aiming to be less complicated, especially primarily with its controller design, which is paying homage to the original Intellivision controllers. But while Tommy views it as a good thing, and I'm sure he's got nostalgia reasons for it, to me, it's not paying homage to the original Intellivision controllers, it's paying homage to the original subpar, not good Intellivision controllers. And this is where the cons really start to begin. I mean, look at this controller. From my point of view, and I'm sure from a lot of people's point of view, this controller looks awkward to use. And the lack of front buttons and the dial don't give me faith. Tommy, there's a reason certain things died in the second generation of video games. Another con I have with it, and this is similar to the controller, a certain nostalgia paying homage drags it down in my opinion, is the attempt to use the Intellivision name. Now look, it's not scummy like the other two, because there's actually a direct line with employees who are around for the original Intellivision. I like that fact. That's pretty cool, actually. It's not like the people that own the Coleco name now are pretty terrible people, if you look into it. And Atari's been bought and sold so many times. That's not Atari. It's just a dead body of Atari being controlled by puppet strings, pretending to be the actual Atari. The issue, though, with using the name Intellivision from a marketing standpoint is that this does nothing for it. And actually, in my opinion, it might hurt the console. Unlike Atari and even Coleco, the Intellivision name holds no weight in 2020. Barely anybody remembers it. The only people who remember it are people who grew up with it, or those in the retro gaming community, which, I'm sorry, I know the retro gaming community hates to hear this. You represent a very small amount of the gaming public. But the risk in where this name Intellivision might be a con is that not everyone remembers the Intellivision fondly. Some people had a negative experience with it that could make them not attracted to a console that shares the same name. Remember, the Atari 2600 did beat the Intellivision. This isn't the only problem with the marketing. When it comes to the marketing of a family-friendly console, I am a bit interested, I must admit. I really like the idea of a couch co-op console that families can play together. I like that idea a lot. One of my biggest problems is that I just highly doubt it will sell enough to sustain itself. The games are part of this. No disrespect to the developers, but people don't care about revamped Intellivision games that, let's be honest, are mobile quality. Now, a strong point of the marketing is the fact that all the games being released on this console, which by the way, price-wise they range from $299 to $999, are exclusive to the Intellivision Amico. While this is definitely a strong selling point for the Amico, it could also mean a quick death for the Amico. Let's paint a scenario that, in my opinion, is likely. What happens if less than 5,000 people buy this at launch? How long can the console go? You need a large enough player base to support an ecosystem that can bring in revenue required to have exclusive games developed. If the Amico doesn't get the sales needed, it has two outcomes, okay? It becomes an Android game-filled Ouya 2, or it fades away with a small amount of games to be forgotten. While the cons from a business side are the most important, I must say Tommy himself and the cult around him is a big con for me. I don't hate Tommy. He seems like a nice enough guy. But I'm gonna be honest, sorry Tommy if you're watching this, in my opinion, you acted like a baby to criticism from Pat the Nest Punk, who I'm not a Pat the Nest Punk fanboy. My most popular video is a critique of him. I'm still a fan of him. The CU podcast I think is very important, especially in light of the Amico situation, and how so many people are blindly protecting the Amico from any criticism, any worry about it whatsoever. The way the people on Atari Age acted, and I'm a big fan of Atari Age. I've bought homebrews from them. It's a website I want to support. I like Albert. I've corresponded with him to get a return on a game that had an issue. He handled it very well. I like Atari Age. I like Albert. And in no way am I saying Albert was part of the onslaught against Pat the Nest Punk that occurred on Atari Age. In fact, according to Pat, Albert was quite disgusted by that, and I believe that to be true. Albert seems like a very nice guy from the interviews and stuff I've seen with him and from me talking to him. From a business point, it was a return. I'm not saying we're friends, and I will defend Albert. I like Atari Age still, but Tommy, come on. You being there, the things that were said, that's not the way to behave. That reflects poorly on your company and you. And when you start to play the bad guy like that, it makes people not only skeptical of the Amico, but people start to kind of wish doom on it. They start to want it to fail. There's a kind of a cult around you, like I said before. I mean, you see people like Smash JT. I hate using this word, but he's almost like a fanboy of Tommy. I think people should have criticism after we've seen so many of these consoles named after second-gen consoles. And not just that, in retro gaming, you've seen a lot of terrible products trying to cash in on nostalgia, almost to too much of a point. It's becoming bloated with how much nostalgia cashing and re-releasing stuff at games being a big offender of this. And, you know, when it comes to this, the Intellivision Amico is probably the most pure in this. It's not crowdfunded. They're doing it the right way. So from a business ethics standpoint, I think the Intellivision Amico is doing it the right way. No issue there. But my biggest critique is the marketing. I don't think it can capture a large user base. I just don't see its mass appeal with the general gaming public. I think it looks cool from a collector standpoint, from a guy who is actually pretty interested in second-gen consoles. I like collecting for that era. And even second-gen consoles are a niche inside retro gaming. A lot of people don't go back that far. And a console that is so much rooted back into the second gen, a console trying to break out of a niche into the general gaming public, I'm going to be skeptical about. Now look, I understand. It's not just a nostalgia thing. You're trying to break into the gaming market with the family-friendly couch co-op, and again, I like that idea, but I just don't think it's going to succeed.